welcome back to my channel. So today I'm here with my 5th into my 6th bullet journal migration, and I'm trying to get this done both set up just in life and also filmed for you guys early because I will actually be traveling over the holidays. And that means that since I'm starting a new bullet journal in January, I really want to have it set up before I go so that I don't have to bring it with me when I go back to the US to visit family. So I thought I would go ahead and first show you guys my new bullet journal. So I am going to be using a copper Leuchtturm, and I know this actually breaks my pattern of doing gray, black, and navy blue, but I couldn't resist. For one thing, I love copper, and you guys will notice in past videos that I'm currently obsessed with it. Second, my birthday is in January, and I thought it would be really cool to start a new year and my birthday month with a really pretty copper bullet journal. So, as you can see, I actually purchased this a while ago, and I haven't even opened it because I figured I would go ahead and open it on here and give you guys my first impressions because I've actually never seen one of these open in person. And then I'll go ahead and show you guys how I'm going to set up. So, without further ado, let's open up my new bullet journal, which should have gotten out my scissors first. There we go. Okay, let's carefully, try not to destroy the actual journal. So I actually just purchased this. Ooh, that was me hitting my tripod. Sorry about that. I actually purchased this at a local store, one of my favorite paper shops. They have a pretty good selection of Leuchtturms. They have a pretty good selection of dotted Leuchtturms, let me say. And I saw this one, had no idea what I was going to use it for at the time that I bought it, but I've been looking for one, and a lot of times what I've been seeing is I'd see the gold, or I'd see the silver, or I'd see the lined. So it was a perfect storm, and I found the dot grid copper, and I had to get it. So let's go ahead and take off this guy, which I have to say, when I first saw it, I was like, there's no way I am ever going to buy this because it has this gigantic band with 1917, and then I realized after that it was like a piece of paper that you could take off, and I was like, oh, that's fine then. So it just has like this standard little band, which with all of the information they normally have. So, ooh, oh, it's so pretty. Just wait until it gets destroyed from use, but hey, who cares? So, oops. I have not even broken in the spine, which is something that I usually do. So you've got all of these little cards and such. Let's go ahead and open the back. So I'm going to take my stickers. Oh, goodness. Oh, they're copper. Oh, my gosh. So I apologize in advance. I'm filming in the early-ish afternoon. It's about 3 o'clock. And to be perfectly honest, I just didn't have time to do it this weekend, and I want to get this up and ready for this coming weekend. So I'm going to be probably filming this over a couple of days and just kind of catching light where I can. So I will do what I can. But gorgeous, gorgeous copper archiving stickers. So these are actually, I always keep these in my collection bullet journal. That way I know where all of my archiving stickers are. So I'm just going to set that aside. And we are, whoops, all set. Nothing in the back cover. I'm going to go ahead and pull out my bookmarks. So we've got the two, oh, those are really pretty. So I've got my 2 bookmarks here, and oh, the page numbers are different. Guys, what is this? Hold on. So let me find page 75, because I'm gonna be weird and compare the same page. Wouldn't you do that? Oh, okay, so it's a different font and a different size. I don't hate it. It's fine. Yeah. I say this like it's gonna make me not use the notebook. No, it won't. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, oh, look at them. Oh, there's so many changes. Oh my gosh. So let's start from the beginning. So we have our standard, well, not the standard color, but you have the standard 2 bookmarks. You've got the back pocket. And then when we come in here, so to compare it with a normal Leuchtturm, oops, you've got, rather than having name and address, you've just got these lines down here, and then it says please return to and thank you very much in German, English, and in French, which is kind of cool. And then we're going to flip in here. So I've got, whoops, so rather than starting on the facing page, it's on this page here. I don't actually know how you call that, but it's on the left page instead of just the right page. And they've changed the layout so that you don't actually have the box around it. You have the same like languages, but you don't have the box around the outside, and they've changed it to a sans serif font, which I have to say I really like. And it's an all caps font, which I love. You guys should know this about me. I love all caps. I will probably still, we'll see, but there's a decent chance that I will still hack my index to do the same way, where instead of writing the page number on the left, I do it at the end. However, given that there is actually a page, like a line break here, I'm gonna have to see about that. So that might be something that I don't necessarily set up on camera because I might not have decided yet. So moving on from the index, oops, so, okay, interesting. So you just have one spread of index, which I have to say, currently I've actually used a ton of my index. So that might get a little bit tight, but I believe they gave us more lines because, well, no, maybe not. That might be just about the same number of lines. I don't know. We'll find out. You know, as I use this, we're going to figure out if it's going to be a problem and with me not having enough index space. And then it just goes ahead and starts on page 1. So one thing about this, and it looks like it's throughout the entire thing, is the dots are actually higher up. So I'm going to go to a blank page so you can see. So rather than having the dots like centered here, they actually are all the way up at the top, and then there's this bigger space down at the bottom. Now, that's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but given that the dots themselves are the same, I'm hoping that it's going to be fine. I will, however, go ahead and count and just make sure that they haven't changed the number of dots to the page, because that would be a nasty surprise to have. So the rest of it is just as normal, and we've got, ooh, goodness, 251 pages instead of, what is it, 249, I want to say? Yeah, so 249. So we have those the extra page that we normally would have for the index is now back here. So, you know, it is what it is. But I mean, worst case scenario is I just move my index. If I like run over, I'll just move it to the back page because that's usually a page I have left. And I believe we still have yeah, you still have a couple of the perforated pages in the back there. So that is a good thing. I do like those. All right, so what I'm gonna do before anything else is I'm gonna go ahead and break in my spine. So this is actually, I'm gonna have to try and find it. I believe it's a video on the official bullet journal YouTube page that talks about breaking in your spine. And I watched it like a million years ago, and I just do that now with all of my notebooks. So I will try and remember and link that for you guys so you can check it out. This was definitely not something that I came up with. This was something I saw thanks to Ryder's wonderful resources about bullet journaling. So I like to do that before I dive in and start. And again, I might not even break in my spine the way that you're supposed to, but it works for me. So far, I haven't had any of my journals completely fall apart, knock on wood. There we go. So spine is all broken in. I'm gonna go ahead and shove my bookmarks all the way in the back because I don't like them flopping around, but I don't want them to like make bumps in the actual pages. And now that this is all set to go, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys my setup. So what I have decided, and I was really waffling about this for quite a while because I technically have enough space in here where I could fit January. However, I did not start a new bullet journal in January last year because I believe, if I remember, I had just moved into a new bullet journal in December, and so I had 1 month in the bullet journal. There was no way I was going to waste it. However, this time around, I've already got 4 months in here, so September through December, and I was close enough to the end that I really wanted to be able to have a fresh start for the new year. The second thing was that, actually that was really the only thing. However, once I decided that I wanted to move into a new bullet journal for January, I needed to figure out how to make the switch so that it would be as painless as possible since I am going to be in the US for Christmas and I won't be coming back to France until the 3rd of January, which means that I don't want to bring 2 bullet journals with me. I'm going to stay in this bullet journal and like move into my new one when I get back, but I want to have it set up and ready to go. So I had to deal with that. The other thing was that I needed to figure out how to best use the rest of the pages in my bullet journal so that I didn't waste pages. And it just so happened that because I was doing a switch over at a new year, I decided that I was going to do a lot more year level planning than I did last year because, I had just started out kind of thing. Like, well, technically I had started in like March, April. And so by the time I got to December, I didn't have all of the collections that I now currently have and the things that I now track that I want to track at a year level. And so this time around, I thought it would be a good idea to sit down and do that. I also got my hands on a copy of Your Best Year 2018 by Lisa Jacobs. And so I've been working through that. So I wanted to have a place to kind of put all of these like thoughts and ideas and goals for 2018 in one place. And I thought that it would make sense to do it in here because this is the bullet journal that's going to come with me to the US, which means that I'll just use this for anything that I need to do while I'm in the US and then transfer over. And then that'll hopefully help me use up the majority of the pages so that I don't feel like I'm wasting any pieces of paper that I could be making use of. So what I ended up doing is, you guys will remember I had my December set up. So I've actually already sort of marked out where how long I think the month is going to take me so that I would make sure I didn't cut myself too short. And I figured that based on my average number of pages per month, I needed up until about page 185. So I think, if I remember, I did a little bit shy. I think I did up to like page 175 or so, but I figured that like kind of normal usage, all things being equal, I would need basically up to page 185. So I looked at the back and I was like, okay, well, I have, 185 to 149. I've got a little bit over 60 pages left. How am I going to make use of this? So I, liking round numbers, decided to start, at page 201. Because I wanted to have like a front cover sort of thing. And I just made this little wreath. It was kind of a disaster. I recently added in my little copper dots, and so I think it looks a little bit nicer. So I basically made a header or a wreath intro page for 2018 preparations, and I decided that I was going to just basically use to the end of the book as many pages as I needed to actually plan this out. And you guys will see when I actually go through and do my full flip through, which will most likely be sometime in January because I won't be able to film it before I leave for the US. You'll see how I ended up using up the back pages, but I actually even have a couple of other things in the back here. But I still have a lot of space left to do 2018 prep. So basically, I decided that I wanted to do a review because I don't make a lot of changes by and large as I move either from month to month or even from journal to journal. At this point, I've kind of found a system that works for me. However, because it was going to be a new year, I wanted to just do a general sort of review of how things are going of my planner system in general, not just my personal bullet journal. So I decided to do a list of things that I wanted to keep in my journal, drop, or add. And I say journal, but I actually mean in my system. So I want to keep my front of Bujo set up. So all of the collections that I have in the front of my bullet journal, I'm pretty happy with. I find them to be useful. I have maybe a couple of little tweaks, but by and large, I don't plan to change that. And I also don't plan to change how I have sort of a cohesive theme for all of my front of bullet journal collections. I really like how that looks. I feel like it just kind of ties them together as a group of more long-term collections, if that makes sense. I want to keep my home bullet journal budget and cleaning, and I totally misspelled cleaning, oops. My budget and cleaning trackers. I want to keep my 101 and 1001. I think I might go through, I need to kind of migrate from my 52 goals in 52 weeks and all that kind of stuff. And I will most likely be doing a video about my 2018 setup as a whole. This is really just for this one, but I'm showing you guys the review anyway. So I want to keep my reading challenge, social media, bullet journal tracking, and do the whole minimalist and lettering look in my personal bullet journal. So this is kind of the system as a whole with a couple of notes for my bullet journal in particular. I've decided I wanted to drop my University Traveler's Notebook. I have found that this year, because I already have a teacher bullet journal and my personal bullet journal, because I have fewer jobs than I had last year, I'm finding it much easier to keep track of everything. And so I find that when I have university stuff, it makes a lot more sense to just put it in my personal bullet journal and I don't lose it. So I decided that I am not going to use that setup anymore. I am keeping some of the pages that have pertinent information, but I haven't been bringing it with me to university because I haven't really been needing it. I've been bringing my personal bullet journal. So I'm going to reuse the monthly and weekly inserts for something else, but it's not going to be for university anymore. I'm going to add Your Best Year 2018. So I actually have, and this will come in more in my 2018 setup video, not for this one, actually. Oh gosh. So I actually bought it on Etsy. I bought the book on Etsy and I printed it out. So I've been working through it in here, but one of the reasons why I made a note in here was that I wanted to include some aspects of kind of my planning in my bullet journal, meaning I think more on like a month level. So what are my month level goals and projects that I'm working on, that kind of stuff, to pull out of the workbook and put in my bullet journal, because I know me, like I'll do the work now in the workbook because it's just easier and I'll write it down, but I'll look in my bullet journal, so I'm going to need to transfer stuff. So that's why I added that here. And then I also want to have a big financial goal tracking, which is something that I've added in my bullet journal, but that I'm going to move to the front of my bullet journal now that I'm moving into a new one and I know that I kind of have the format that I want. Then I just had a couple of thoughts about the year, followed by my planner squad. So I have my personal bullet journal is going to be my copper Leuchtturm. I'm going to keep my teacher bullet journal. That's actually just going to be the same one because it's for the school year. So I'll start a new one in August, September of 2018, so that one's kind of a no-brainer at the moment. Collection bullet journal is going to stay the same. Home bullet journal, health bullet journal, those are all going to stay the same. I have my Your Best Year 2018 workbook, and you'll see that I have my Traveler's Notebook free monthly. So the monthly that I was using from my working university setup, I'm going to repurpose. I think we'll see how this actually goes. This was like my brainstorming session, so I haven't actually like put this all in place, but I want to repurpose that for some of my goals that I will then like set out my whole year and then move them month by month into my bullet journal. I had that I was going to do some notes in a big moleskin. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. I have my social media bullet journal, which is in my Dingbats notebook, and I'm also going to start Some Lines a Day, which is the official Leuchtturm notebook where, actually, one second, let me go get it. So this is what I mean for that. And I will give you guys a closer flip through whenever I do my 2018 setup video, but when I say Some Lines a Day, this is what I mean. All right, so that was kind of my overview, and then I decided to go in and break down how I want to set up each of the aspects of my planner system for 2018. So what I have first is what we need for today. So I'm going to do my personal bullet journal setup, which is going to be migrating collections and information from this current bullet journal into my 6th bullet journal. So I did my very similar setup, and rather than trying to draw in the little thing, I just labeled my pages, and then I have on the side what's going to go in there. So a lot of this is actually going to stay the same. However, I've added in a couple of things. So for example, I think I'm going to try and do a 5-month Calendex and a 5-month future log, because this bullet journal and last bullet journal, last bullet journal I did fit 5 months, and this bullet journal I could have fit 5 months if it wasn't going to be a new year. So I want to go ahead and plan to fit 5 months in the bullet journal and have the space to do all of my future planning. And then if I don't use it, no big deal, but at least I'll have it. So I want to do that. I'm going to add in my 2018 savings goals. I want to add a 5th month to my financial setup. I'm going to keep Wishlist Nespresso waiting for a YouTube editorial calendar. I think I'm also going to try and fit in 5 months on that as well. I'm not sure how that one might end up being 6 months just because of like spacing and page setup. Tracking for Instagram and YouTube, my 101 and 1001 focus. So basically goals that I want to pull out to work on for the approximately 5 months that I think I will be using that bullet journal. So kind of keeping them more fresh in my mind. I have my working towards, which is actually going to be, I can show you guys here really quick. Oops. So it's this particular spread. I'm going to migrate these and have these are my savings goals, but like for particular things that I want to budget for, basically. Then we have library loans, a K-drama spread, so whatever K-dramas I'm currently working on, university transportation tracker, so we carpool, so I have to keep track of when when we pay, how much it is, like all that kind of stuff. And then Calendex carryover. So like I did in this bullet journal where I actually had a page, let's see back here. I don't know why that's in there. Let's pull that out anyway. So I actually had a bunch of Calendex things that I needed to do where I was still in my bullet journal this summer in August, but I was already getting stuff for September, and I didn't want to do the Calendex in August because one, I had the future log for September. So one, I had the future log for September because I knew I was going to move into a new bullet journal, but also I didn't want to have to rewrite them or refer back to a different bullet journal for things that were going to happen in this one. So I just started a full page, and I've actually still got some, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a very similar setup to what I did here, but up at the front of my bullet journal. So that is basically what I'm planning to do in the front of my bullet journal, and I will actually still be giving you guys a January plan with me, so stay tuned for that and for this information a little bit later. But to give you an idea, the rest of what I've got in here for my 2018 setup for right now is I've got my January setup, my home bullet journal, so things I want to do for 2018, collection bullet journal, things for 2018, some notes for my health bullet journal, not necessarily for 2018, but just things that are kind of outstanding projects that I want to work on. And then I've also got my social media bullet journal. So I am thinking that at some point I will try and give you guys a look at how I've actually set up for 2018. I probably won't do it plan with me style just because I'm going to need to be able to get going, but I will show you guys how 2018 is going to be set up. So let's go back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my I'm going to move my current bullet journal off to the side here. And what I had thought, so I'm going to be in a copper bullet journal. So to give you guys a peek back, to remember, this was the look of my my front of bullet journal. So I did the copper with gray. And so I had a lot of gray and copper and things like that in here. So what I think I'm going to do this time around is I've pulled out, I got my new copper, so I actually still have this one, but I want to make sure I have a nice, like, fresh one because every once in a while the ink kind of runs funny in this one just because I've used it so much. So I'm going to use my brand new copper one. I also have a brand new Fudnoske because mine that I've been using is starting to run out of ink, so I want to have a nice fresh one. I've got my Pentel sign pen, so if I want to have a slightly smaller brush, and I've got my microns. And last but not least, I have my gray Statlers, and these are probably going to be for my year at a glance, but I'm planning to do copper and black for my look. And I don't actually know if I'm going to change the style of writing. I don't think so because I really liked it, but I am going to change to do black and copper rather than gray and copper for this time around. So that is basically it. I'm going to go ahead and go off camera and just make sure I count out and put sticky notes on my pages so I don't accidentally skip anything, and then I will be back. All right, so I've set up in the front here. Whoops, I didn't actually do anything in these front pages yet, but I went ahead and I penciled in for my year at a glance and for my Calendex and future log. If it was something really simple, I just did a little sticky note to label it. This is for my financial spread. I wanted to make sure I kind of had an idea for some of the spreads that I'm adding in more months to actually work it out, because I went ahead and I counted. Good thing I did, because the copper is actually 38 squares tall, which is the same as normal, but it's 27 wide, and normally it's 26. So that actually threw off some of my normal measurements a tiny bit. So I wanted to make sure that I got that all sorted out before I time-lapsed you guys and just ended up having a super, super long time lapse of just me thinking. So, yep, trackers. So basically everything that I want to put in the beginning here is all labeled out, and then this will be where I start January. So I am going to go ahead and time lapse you guys. We'll see how long this actually takes, and I will come back at the end. that is my setup. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a quick flip through so you can kind of see everything, and I will walk you through how it went. So I did the intro page the same as normal, just have my name and my Sunshine and Stationery email account. Figure that's probably just the simplest thing to do. And as with normal for the past couple of bullet journals, I haven't done anything on this inside cover, and to be honest, I've been using this area as a sticky note place so I can keep track of different things, so I will probably just leave that blank. I have not done anything in my index yet because I'm still not decided on whether I'm going to do my normal hack or if I'm going to use it with the page and the topic there. We shall see. 2018 year at a glance, you'll see that it looks pretty good overall, but I did completely screw up this section, but hey, that is what whiteout is for. So that is all set. I have my 5-month Calendex and 5-month future log. I am most likely going to use the exact same color code that I have in my 5th bullet journal. However, I made the mistake last time of setting it up really early, and then I ended up changing it and I had to cut a piece of paper and glue it over, so I'm just going to leave this blank until I'm ready. As I get a little bit closer to the end of the month, probably before I actually leave for vacation, but not quite yet, I'm going to go ahead and start filling in a lot of this stuff so that I just have it ready for when I get back. But for now, I'm just going to leave it blank. I have my savings goals, and I forgot to dot that I. Let's just do that really quick. Voila. So I've got my savings goals. I'll go ahead and fill them in once I know at the end of this current bullet journal, but I wanted to have them set up at the front so I was ready to go. I have my financial spread, and I didn't even write financial at the top here because I needed to fit in 5 months and it was a little bit squished, so I'm just going to kind of leave it as is. I know what this spread is. It doesn't really need a title. Everything else though is essentially the same. I have my wish list waiting for an espresso. So the wish list is the same. I have been toying with the idea of having, well, so someone actually left in a comment on one of my other videos that they have like a sit-on list, and I'm not sure what she actually called it, but basically the date that you see something, how much it is, what it is, and like where the store is, and you see if you still want it after X amount of time. And then you decide if you want to buy it or not. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do something like that or if I'm just going to transfer over my wish list as is. I'm not sure, so I'm just going to leave that blank. I have my waiting for, so this is actually for things that I've ordered online. Do my ellipsis. And then at the bottom I've got Nespresso, so I switched the order of these two, and I made the Nespresso section smaller. So the way that I've been doing my coffee shopping lately is I get enough for a month. So if I have 5 months in here, in theory, I don't need more than about 5 lines. So I just gave it a little bit less space, but more than 5 lines just in case. You never know. I have my YouTube calendar. I didn't want to try and cram in editorial, so I just did YouTube calendar, but this is my editorial calendar. I went ahead and gave myself 5 weeks because it was just easier to count out, and then I went and I did all of my weeks in after, and basically I put this like bottom or first week, I put it with wherever Sunday fell, since that's my normal posting time. However, I wanted to leave myself a little bit of extra space in case I decided to post twice in a week, in which case I might put it here, for example, and I didn't even erase my pencil marks on this guy, but that is why I've got extra boxes at the end. You know, if I don't end up using those extra boxes, then I'll, you know, cross them out, or I'll draw something, or I don't know what, but I figured just for counting out, I didn't want to screw around with counting out like 4 or 5 or whatever. I want them all to look the same, so I just went ahead and did 5 per month and counted from there. And spacing wise, I did end up doing 6 months because I didn't want to have to screw around trying to figure out 5. So I probably won't get June in this journal, but I can at least start planning ahead for June as I'm getting ready to migrate, which I think is probably not a bad thing to be able to do. I have my YouTube and Instagram tracker. I will most likely keep the tracker the same way, the same as what I've been doing, but I might change the colors. So I'm just gonna, I labeled the page. I'm just gonna let that go until I'm ready. I have my 101 and 1001 focus. So like I mentioned before, I want to go and pick out certain goals from the different sections that I have and focus on those to work on, you know, during this particular bullet journal. So I'm going to leave that blank until I actually sit down and go through and do that. This is going to be for the working toward is different from my savings goals, in that the savings goals are more like life things I need to do like as an adult and prepare for and all that kind of crap. Working toward are certain things that I would like, that I've decided that I want to buy, but that I need to save up for because they cost a little bit more money. So I might do the same way as I did in the last one. So my last bullet journal, I did the doodles, and then I inked them in and watercolored them once I actually like reached my goal. I might do that, or I might do the bar tracker like I did for my savings goals. I'm not sure. So I just made a space for it, but I haven't actually filled it in yet. I have my library loans. I still love this particular spread. I find it really useful, so I wanted to have one front and center in my book. And I also have my K-drama spread. I wanted to have that up front because I flip back and refer to it. But I'm going to wait until I know which dramas I'm actually working on before I actually fill this in. So he's going to stay as is. I have my transportation tracker. So this is one that I just had randomly in the middle of my 5th bullet journal because that was when I started it. But because I will, you know, still have a semester of class left, I wanted to go ahead and have this up front. And the last one is my Calendex carryover. So any Calendex items that I had created that are still in the future, or anything that I already know I'm going to have for January, I'm going to go ahead and do here. And looking at this now, I'm wondering if I should have done a full spread. I'm not sure. We shall see, because otherwise this is going to be January. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, honestly, the Calendex entries could go anywhere. It's not a big deal. It's just if I have a bunch, it's kind of nice to have them all in one place and just go back and refer to them and check them off as I go. So we'll see how that actually goes. But that is my setup. And I will see you guys back in this bullet journal for my January plan with me. So if you guys have any comments or questions, leave them down below for me. If you guys like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and or subscribing to my channel. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.